something that I haven't really talked about in my videos, and I was just driving and I was like, what am I going to talk about today? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this, and people may like it, people may not like it, but it's getting real. So I want to talk to you about why marriage is important to me, why it matters, and how I think that marriages can succeed. It's a whole lot. Woo, that sun is blinding. So I want to talk about why marriages are special, why marriage is special. And that goes back to the Garden of Eden, when God created man, Adam, and he realized that it wasn't good for him to be alone. That it wasn't good. He needed someone to help him. He needed someone to encourage him. He needed someone to love him, right? We all want to be loved. We all want to be encouraged. We all have that desire. But I would go even farther to say that men often need it more than women do. Because a great man, most time that I have experienced, can't be a great man without a good woman cheering him on and supporting him. The greatest man I've ever known is my daddy, and he said on a daily basis that he wouldn't have been half of the man that he was had it not been for the love and the encouragement and the loyalty and the commitment and the devotion that my mom had for him. She championed him. And so he said all the time that the reason he was the man that he was because of my mom. And I truly believe that. I believe that a great man is a great man because of the woman in his life, encouraging him and pushing him for greatness. And, you know, men are very logical, but women can often see things from a different perspective that men can't see. And the two perspectives working together is a winning combination. A woman on her own, yeah, she may do good things, but she can't do great things. And a guy may do good things, but he can't do great things, because God's design was for a man and a wife to unite and use their special giftings together. So it starts in the garden, right? Adam's by himself. God, the only time God ever says anything isn't good that he made is he said it was not good that man should be alone, so he would make a helpmate for him. And so he took a rib out of Adam's side and formed the woman. And that's such a symbolic picture of like a man needing to shelter and hold and protect, but also a rib protects your heart and it protects your organs. And a lot of time, you know, men will do things that maybe could kill them, and women will be the ones that be like, oh, let's think about that. Should you really be doing that? Let's be a little bit smarter. I care about you. Women care on a much, much deeper level. And I think that's because God designed women to care on a much deeper level, because we carry children within us, and we need to nurture and protect the children and our husband too. But anyway, so God created marriage in the garden, Adam and Eve, right? And did they have a formal wedding ceremony? Did they have, 250 guests? No, they didn't. It was them and God. And I think that's such a picture of beauty. You know, if a husband and a wife have God, you have everything that you need. You don't need a fancy wedding dress. You don't need a fancy wedding ring. You don't need a fancy honeymoon even. What you need is a marriage centered on God and centered on love and commitment and loyalty and devotion. That's what you need. All the other stuff is like icing on a cake, essentially. So God created marriage, and he created it in such a way that the longer you were together, the better it would be. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's the honeymoon phase and everything's great, and then real life sets in. No. In my experience, my mom and dad loved each other more the longer they were together, because they built a commitment to one another. They built a loyalty to one another. They built a friendship with one another that was greater. There was a poet that I follow on Instagram, and he said that how is it possible to love somebody more as time goes on? And he said, well, my love, a book gets better the more pages you add to it. And essentially that a marriage was just adding pages to the book of your love story. And the longer that you were together, the more pages your book had. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, that's such a beautiful picture of what marriage can be. And a lot of people are like, oh, but I'm going to have to be, I don't like that they do bachelor parties and bachelorette parties. And it's like, last fling before the ring, or what do they say? Like, oh, something before the ball and chain. And I'm like, no, the way that you're thinking about this is wrong. The way that you're talking about it, the way that you're thinking, like, no, it's not a ball and chain. It's a blessing. It's not, this is your last fling. Well, if you're looking at it that way, you might as well not even get married, because the longer you're with the same person, if you're going to talk about intimacy, a lot of people are like, oh, I have to be with the same person forever. Like, oh, what a bore. That's boring. I'd like to, try all the flavors at the ice cream shop. Why do I only have to pick one? Well, the more you spend time with your husband or with your wife, the more that you are intimate with them, the more that you go through life, you'll know them. You'll know what they like and you'll know what they don't like. And it's just crazy to me how the enemy twists everything, and he makes you think that you're missing out on something because you're getting married, that you're missing out on something because you can only be with one person forever. The level of intimacy that you have when you know that that person has your back and that they're there for you, and honestly there for you. I know a lot of people, get married and they're like, well, I'm married, I can do whatever I want. No, you can't. It's not about that. You should be seeking to honor the other person. You should be seeking to protect and to champion. Another way of looking at it is, okay, if you were in a competition, say you were, pick your favorite sport, and you're in a competition and you needed a teammate to be on your team with you so that you could win this competition. Essentially, life isn't a competition, but there is a goal, especially for Christians. Paul says, I believe it's in the book of Corinthians, or it might be Philippians. Oh, it's Philippians, where he says, press on, don't give up, finish the race, finish the course, get the prize that's waiting for you. What is the prize? Eternal life with Christ. That's the prize. And so when I look at that and I'm like, okay, I want to pick somebody hopefully that has my back, so that when I get sick, they could take care of me, so that when they get sick, I could take care of them. Could you imagine picking somebody or getting married to somebody and then you getting sick and then them just saying, well, I didn't really sign up for sickness, so yeah, this isn't working for me. That's why the vows say, in sickness and in health, in richer or for poor, regardless how much money you have or don't have, your love shouldn't be dependent on that. Regardless if you're healthy or you're maybe going through something in the hospital, your love shouldn't be dependent on that. Your commitment to each other shouldn't be dependent on that. And that's the problem, is there's so many people with conditional love. And, right? You got all these conditions. Well, I'll love you if, I'll love you when, I'll love you how, I'll love you this, I'll love you that. And it's like, no, there shouldn't be. This car just pulled out in front of me and slammed on their brakes. That's why people drive so stinking crazy. It boggles my mind how crazy people drive. Anyway, so when you look at, sickness and in health, I want to know that somebody has my back. I want to know that if something happens to me, I can trust them. And especially when you're having children, you want to know that if something happens to you, they're going to raise your children the same way that you would if you're not there. I look at Joey and Rory Feek, and, they didn't plan for Joey to go to heaven, but she did. And thank God for Rory being the man of God that he is, because he's raising little Indiana in the most beautiful way possible. And Joey would be so proud. I know she is so proud. And that's important. It's important that you're a team, right? If you're a team and one person's doing all the work and the other person isn't doing the work, well, your team's not going to succeed. It's the same thing in a marriage. If one person's, giving it 100% and the other person's not giving it anything, well, that marriage is going to fail. I've seen it with lots of my friends. One person is just giving it all they got and the other person just checks out and they don't care anymore. Marriage when done the way God created it to be done, does work. You know, I know the divorce rate is like skyrocketing, and people are like, oh, is marriage worth it? Does marriage work? When it's done the right way. The problem is there's so many people that are more concerned with a fancy wedding and a fancy ring and fancy pictures to post on social media than they are about the marriage, than they are about the vows, than they are about the covenant that you are entering into with another person. They're more worried about the stuff than they are the love and the commitment and the loyalty and being there for somebody and partnering together in life and ministry and raising children and parenting. When done right, it is a blessing. Knowing that you have somebody there for you, knowing that you can be there for somebody, that's beautiful. That's a gift. Not having to worry if somebody's lying, not having to worry if somebody's being unfaithful, that's a gift. That's such a beautiful, beautiful gift. Loyalty, commitment, devotion, respect, mutual respect, and mutual submission. You know, I know the Bible says, wives, you know, submit to your husbands, but likewise, husbands, submit to your wives. It's a mutual submission. It's saying, I need you and you need me. So I'm going to give of myself for you, and hopefully you're going to give of yourself for me. It's mutual. It's like if I, you know, let's say you have a jug and I have a jug. If I'm pouring my jug out into you and you're pouring your jug out into me, well, guess what? Our jugs are both going to be full no matter how much we pour back and forth. And really, that's a picture of what marriage should be, right? God, think of like a rain or like a waterfall filling your jug. And then after your jug's full, right, God fills you, not your spouse. Your spouse is imperfect. They're flawed. They're going to let you down. Don't put them on a pedestal. But God fills you. And then out of your fullness, because you have to be a full person before you can get into a relationship, or you're just going to hurt somebody. So God fills you, God fills your jug, and then you take your jug and you pour it into your husband's jug. And your husband takes his and he pours it into yours. And you're just constantly pouring back and forth. As God fills you both, you're pouring into each other, back and forth, back and forth. You're encouraging each other. You're doing nice things for each other. Like, you can look at the love languages. I think it's Gary Chapman has the 5 love languages. It's acts of service, physical touch, gifts, words of affirmation, and quality time. I would say you need to be doing all those things for your spouse. You need to be doing things of service for them. You need to be spending quality time. That's number 1. You need to be giving them words of affirmation, encouraging them. Don't say something to them if it's going to tear them down. Your words have power. You can literally build up a kingdom in your husband or in your wife with your words, or you can completely destroy it. And you can destroy your home with your words too, with arguing, with nitpicking, with bickering, with yelling, with screaming. It will ruin your home and it will ruin your marriage, and it'll probably fail. And then it's so quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch. You need to be touching each other a lot. And if you don't like touching, ask God to help you like it. Tell your husband what you like. Tell your wife what you like. Do it in a loving way. Don't do it in a rejecting way, because rejection can hurt real bad too. But let them know what you like. Let them know if you like holding their hand. Let them know if you like. And non-sexual touch is really important in a marriage and a relationship too. Dancing. Learn how to dance. Take a dance class together. Dance in your kitchen. Dance in your living room. Touch each other without sex being involved. Hold each other. Embrace each other. Cuddle on the couch. Hold hands. Go for a walk around your neighborhood and hold hands every night. Pray together. Hold hands while you're praying. Have conversations together. Hold hands while you're talking together. Put your hand on their back. Let them know that you're there. Let them know that you care about them. And then gifts. If you're, driving down the road and you see a patch of wildflowers and it's not in somebody's yard, get some wildflowers and bring them to your wife. Go to a florist and get some flowers. Don't spend a whole bunch of money though, because I don't think that's very smart. Hey, build a garden in your backyard and grow your own flowers for her, and then cut them and tend to the garden. That's like some love right there. You grow your own flowers to give to your wife. Good night. She's going to be happy. Unless she's allergic to them. So find out what she's allergic to first. But do nice things. Your husband's got a pickup truck. Take it and wash it. Detail it. Wax it. Do something nice for him. He's been wanting to get that new part for his truck. Order it for him. Do nice things for each other. And I'm not talking about going, in debt and spending all kinds of money. Make their favorite meal. Make them a special dessert. Write a love letter to them and hide it somewhere for them. Get all dressed up for them one day. Just for them. Not because you're going anywhere. And that's another thing. Wives. Husbands love it when you dress up. Like, yeah, they love you normal. But when you dress up just for them, not because you're going out, because they know if you're going somewhere fancy, you'll get dressed up. But just dress up. Do your hair, do your makeup, or not, if that's not your thing. Wear a nice dress or a nice outfit if you don't like dresses, and dress up. And when they ask you, why did you dress up? Say, I just wanted to look pretty for you. And they say, well, are we going anywhere? And you say, no. That'll throw them for a loop. Do that. You know how special that'll make them feel. Guys, do the same thing. Get cleaned up one night. Put some cologne on. Smell real good. And when your wife asks you, where are you going? He says, and you say, nowhere. I just want to be with you. I just want to smell good for you. Man, good night. You keep the home fires burning that way. But you got to be creative and think of things. Let them know that you care. Hey, here's one. Ask them about something that matters to them. Maybe if you know, your wife's parents aren't doing too good, ask her about them. Have a difficult conversation. And you're thinking, what? Why am I going to have... Because it's going to show the other person that you care. Take an interest in your spouse's hobbies. If your husband likes playing video games, play video games with him. If your wife likes paddleboarding, go paddleboarding with her. If your husband wants to skydive, go skydiving with him. Learn what your husband likes. Learn what your wife likes. Do nice, special things for each other. Surprise each other. Go out of your way to show your affection. Not go in debt, but go out of your way to show affection. Write a song. It doesn't matter if you can sing or not. My daddy used to write songs for my mom all the time, and he'd sing them to her. He'd write letters to me. He'd paint me pictures. And it meant so much to me. I have every card and every letter that he ever wrote me because it meant that much to me. I had this boyfriend one time. It was really, really thoughtful. He rewrote Proverbs 31 and put like me in it. And then he sealed the envelope with a wax seal with my initials on it. It was really, really thoughtful. And it meant a lot to me. Do something like that to somebody you care about. What do they like? Get to know what they like. Don't ever stop learning. I don't care if you've been together 30, 40 years. Don't ever stop learning about your spouse. Don't ever stop being a student of your partner. Because when you stop wanting to learn about them and you stop being a partner and you stop wanting to learn about your husband or your wife, you stop wanting to know what matters to them, they're going to feel like you don't care about them anymore, right? And we all know what happens then. Maybe a coworker cares. Maybe a coworker's listening. And that's how affairs start. And I'm not saying there's a reason. I'm not saying I'm not justifying, well, you didn't talk to him, so that's why. No, I don't believe affairs should happen. I don't believe in lying to somebody. I don't believe in cheating on anybody. I have been cheated on way too many times to count, and every single time has ripped my heart out, and it's not fun. I would never cheat on anyone, and I would never wish that on anyone. It hurts. It's painful. Betrayal is painful. Rejection is painful. But when you open a door to the enemy, he's going to walk through it. If you open a door by ignoring your husband or ignoring your wife, and that's another thing, like silent treatment, stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. It is a cancer, and it will destroy your marriage. Nobody wants to be treated like that. You yourself don't want to be treated like that. Oh, and that's another thing. If you Like, think about how you want to be treated. Do you want to be loved a certain way? Try loving your spouse that way. Do you want them to speak gently to you and to use a nice, calm voice? Speak gently to them. Use a nice, calm voice. Do you want them to call you on their lunch break and tell you they're thinking about you? Well, then do it for them. Do you want the house to be nice and clean when you get home from work? Well, then do it for them. A marriage should be going both ways. Like, I'm going to do this, not thinking, well, if I do this, then you'll do this. No, I'm going to do this because I love you and I want to honor you and I want to serve you. And in faith, I'm believing that you want to honor and love and serve me too. Y'all, marriages, I know marriages are work. I watched my mom and dad hard go through very difficult things. Their marriage was hard. But I saw so much beauty and so much grace and so much forgiveness and so much passion for one another. There was nothing they would not do for the other person. There was nothing they would not do for each other. Nothing. Think about it. What kind of marriage do you want? Do you just want a fancy wedding? If so, can I encourage you? Have a quinceañera. Have a belated sweet 16. Throw a party for yourself. Do not have a marriage if the only thing that you care about is the wedding. Do not get married if the only thing you care about is the ring. You can go to Walmart and get the biggest, fakest cubic zirconian ring and pop it on your hand and walk around feeling some kind of way. Or if you got a bunch of money, you can buy a big old rock from one of your local jewelry stores. But do not get married just for a ring. Do not get married just for a dress. Do not get married just for the party. If you want the party, throw yourself a party. If you want the ring, buy yourself a ring. Only get married if you want to lay your life down for the rest of your life for someone else. Only get married if you love that person with every fiber of your being and you cannot imagine spending one day without them. Only get married for that. If you want to have sex, don't get married for sex. Do not get married for sex. Sex is a momentary thing. Marriage should be forever. I posted a thing on my Facebook the other day and it said she's a breath of forever and a world of temporary. Sex is temporary, right? Let's just be real. This is getting real. You have sex and it's over. If you're going into a marriage just for sex, you're going to have a rude awakening. Because once that sex doesn't satisfy you anymore, you're just going to want someone else or something else. Marriage is a lifelong commitment. It's a covenant between you, God, and the person that you're supposed to love, that you're supposed to lay your life down for. The love chapter in Corinthians 13, where it talks about love is kind, love is patient, love is long-suffering. Like, put your name or your husband's name or your wife's name in there. Are you that? Are you patient? Are you kind? Are you able to suffer long? Or do you just want to give up when it gets hard? Do you just want to give up when it doesn't serve you anymore? Marriage is not about sex. Yes, sex is important. Intimacy is important. It is a glue that holds a marriage together. It says in the Bible that love covers a multitude of sins. My dad used to always preach. He'd say, making love covers a multitude of sins too. I remember when I was little, this is getting real, so I'm going to get real. When I was little, my parents would argue. They would fuss over something. A lot of time it was bills. Money is a big issue in marriage. And so they would be fussing with each other. And in a couple hours, Ashleydawn had to go outside and play outside with her friends because mom and dad were working things out. Right? It is what it is. But making love covers a multitude of sins too. Because you're surrendered. You're serving the other person. You're joining together. Sex is a beautiful thing that God created for a marriage. And yeah, you can take it outside of marriage and you can have fun and you can do all that too if, that's what you're doing. I'm not telling you to do that. The Bible doesn't tell you to do that, but people have done that and people continue to do that. But you're not going to find the fulfillment of having sex, of making love. And I do believe there's a difference between having sex and making love. But you're not going to find the fulfillment in having sex with somebody, maybe a stranger, maybe, a boyfriend that you have no commitment to, that could leave you tomorrow if he so chose to. And that's another thing, like, marriage is a commitment where you're with each other. You shouldn't have to worry about somebody just up and leaving you, right? Or changing their mind. And so making love is a safe place. And the fulfillment that you'll have in making love to the same person for the rest of your life should be greater than any kind of fun you would have having sex with a bunch of strangers. Like, what God has is more beautiful and more wonderful than any counterfeit that the enemy could offer. But so often we get confused and we get misled and we allow the enemy to distract us from what God has for us and to give us a counterfeit. And we're like, oh, this is great. This is great. No, it ain't great. Kids think that it would be great to eat candy for dinner. But guess what? After they eat it, they get sick. There's a lot of poisons in the world that they have made to taste good. Just saying, that's deep. That's real deep. Marriage is beautiful when it's done for the right reasons. Choosing to love one person for the rest of your life is beautiful if done for the right reasons. Don't go into it with a clause or thinking, well, if this doesn't happen, well, we signed a prenup, so I'm not going to lose any of my money. If this doesn't happen, well, I can just find somebody else. God will forgive me. Yeah, God will forgive you. But if you go into it already thinking about how you're going to lose, you're going to lose. Like, don't go into it thinking if this doesn't work, no. When I do something, I go all in. There's a King and Country song, and it's Burn the Ships. And there's a backstory to that too, but it just talks about get rid of your plan B. If you're going to get married, you shouldn't have a plan B. There shouldn't be someone on the back burner that you're thinking in the back of your mind, well, if this doesn't work out, well, I always have them. No. If you're going to go all in, go all in. Right? Your relationship with God. You can't be lukewarm. You'll get spit out. You either go all in or you don't. If you don't go all in, you'll miss out on all the blessings that he has for you. But if you do, you'll get them. And that's the same thing. A relationship is supposed to be symbolic of the relationship with us and God. The intimacy we share with each other is supposed to reflect the intimacy that we share with God. And you might be thinking, Ashleydawn, you're doing this video and you got shades and shadows and all kinds of stuff. Here's the deal. This is getting real. I am not trying to impress nobody. I am trying to encourage everyone. I just want to encourage people. And hopefully this video has encouraged you to get married for the right reasons, to stay married for the right reasons. Hopefully. Marriage is beautiful. I have the huge blessing and privilege and honor of being Bobby and Michelle's daughter, having a front row seat to the greatest God story I've ever seen in my life. I call God stories God-mark movies. And I have watched God show what marriage could be like through my mom and dad. And I think that's why I'm such a hopeless romantic and why I'm such a fairy tale princess sometimes and I believe in love so much is because I've seen the fruits of it. I am the fruit of it. But seriously, God has great things. And if you have a desire to be married, make sure that your desire to be married also comes with a desire to commit, with a desire to submit, with a desire to lay your life down for the person you choose to spend the rest of your life with. You can't go into it halfway. You can't go into it with a plan B or thinking, well, if this doesn't work, I could do this. No, this is going to work because you're going to give it everything that you have. And you're going to wait for a guy that shows you that he's going to give it everything that he has to. There was a comedian that used to come to our church all the time, and he's like, if my wife ever says she leaves me, I'm packing my bags too. I'm going with her. Like, you ain't leaving me. We're going together. That's the way marriage should be. It shouldn't be his and hers. It should be ours. It shouldn't be yours versus mine. It should be ours. It should be a team. It should be a team. When one is weak, the other should support them. It should be a team. I love y'all. I hope this has blessed you. It's blessed me. When I make these, a lot of times I learn something and I get encouraged by them. But I hope it has blessed you. I hope that you know how loved you are. I hope you know that you are seen, celebrated, and loved, and that God has great, great, great plans for you. He loves you. You're special. He wants you to prosper. He wants you to have a marriage that, let me go around. He wants you to have a marriage that glorifies Him. He also wants you to have a marriage that fulfills those desires in your heart, that fulfills those longings in your heart. And you may think, well, Ashleydawn, I've got these longings and these desires. Yeah, God knows about it. Did you ever think that maybe God put them there? That maybe God is the reason that you have those desires, that you have the desire to be loved like that? I do. I truly believe that every single desire in my heart was placed there by the hand of God Himself. I truly believe that my desire for love and commitment was put there by God. And that one day He's going to bring me a man that is going to have a heart like mine, that is going to be loyal, that is going to want to submit to me as I submit to him, as we both submit to God, and that is going to lay his life down for me as I lay mine down for him. I truly believe that. And I have no doubt in my mind that the desires in my heart God will bring to fruition, because my desires are good, and my desires are pure, and my desires are only to build up, not to tear down. And I think that's beautiful. So that's all I got. I hope this encouraged you. I hope you know that you are seen, celebrated, and loved. God's got great plans for you. And if you're a single person and you're watching this and you have that desire to be married too, don't give up. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep believing. God is going to do it for you. I believe that. Don't give up. Don't settle. Wait. I love y'all. Catch you in the next one.